Hello guys, welcome. I am going to keep this intro short because holy fade, we have a release date. October 31st is when we finally get to play a Dragon Age Veilguard. After almost 10 years, we finally actually get to play this game, and holy mother of nugs, I'm excited. Sorry, first 30 seconds of the video, I can't swear. We have the release date. It's not on my birthday, but close enough. I'm happy. Pre-orders are open, you can buy the art book, there's a collector's box called a Rook's Coffer. I made financially responsible decisions because I am a responsible adult. Yeah, I bought all of it. Shut up, this is my birthday gift to myself. Anyway, I said I wouldn't make this intro too long, and I'm already rambling, so grab yourself a nice warm cup of tea because there is a lot to get into, and let's jump straight in. So, this trailer is so freaking cool. There are so many things I was hoping for and was not expecting. I'm trying to stay calm, but on the inside I am screaming in a good way. Also, quick disclaimer. I want to be able to talk freely to get my full thoughts out, so some of the things I talk about will include the information that was revealed in a big Game Informer cover story, so consider this your spoiler warning for that. Okay, let's get into it for real this time.
You have no idea what you have done. The blighted elven gods walk free, all because you disrupted my ritual.
So the trailer opens up with a scene that shows the aftermath of the disrupted ritual, which we saw in the gameplay review. We can see Rook and Solas, and I don't think they're in the real world. So the Game Informer article revealed that the consequences of disrupting Solas' ritual include Solas getting trapped in the Fade and Rook getting a special connection to the Fade because a few drops of their blood interacted with the ritual. Rook passes out, and when they wake up they find themselves in a dreamlike landscape, likely meaning the Fade or the Crossroads. And that must be what we're seeing here. What is interesting is that this area is completely devoid of color as opposed to the usual green from the Fade. Even Rook and Solas look almost completely grayscale. It actually looks pretty similar to when Morrigan takes our Inquisitor through the Eluvian and Inquisition. While not as dark, it's almost as grey and foggy as the place we see in the trailer. So that makes me think this is more likely somewhere in the Crossroads. However, listening to what Solas is saying, this scene must take place shortly after Rook disrupts the ritual, which means at this point, Rook is passed out. Okay, random thought here. Solas can communicate with Rook because they are both connected to the Fade, but I don't think it has ever said how this connection works exactly, or the communication for that matter. If Solas can only talk or interact with Rook while they are asleep, then perhaps they are in the Fade here. I know the Fade is weird and doesn't necessarily always have to look green, but what if the way it looks is a reflection of Solas' emotions? Somber and grey, like the guilt and regret he might feel for what he has done in the past and what he has to do to fix his mistake, meaning the Veil, and the despair of knowing two of the elven gods now walk free, as well as his 10-year-long plan having just been ruined. Ugh, so many thoughts. Also, I love that we can now clearly see Solas' violet eyes and even some light freckles.
You battle against gods. They will not rest until you are on your knees.
Holy crap, that's Morrigan. Holy crap, that's Morrigan. Okay, my initial reaction to this was so weird. Like, I heard Morrigan's voice, realized who I was hearing, and yet it still didn't really click for me. All I did was sit there and stare at my screen with my mouth open as the rest of the trailer played, while all two of my brain cells were apparently working overtime to process what was happening. More on Morrigan in a bit though. So this shot here is the city of Treviso, and we know that because in the Thedas Calls trailer we see a shot of the same city and the same tower, just from a different angle. I don't think the people in the city are having a great time though, cause, well, the city's kind of on fire. Oh look who's here! Our favorite horror-loving, monster-making Evanuris Ghilan'nain. Yeah, I don't think she's here to put the fires out. Oh, and it seems I was right. She does not have legs. Only tentacles. Ugh.
Fearful, cowering, helpless in the face of such power.
Okay, so my first thought when I saw this was, Fellason? And I have to admit, that's mainly just because of the hairstyle and the person being an elf. And I know this almost definitely isn't actually Fellasan, because I don't think this person has Valisline. I don't know, it's really hard to see. And I'm also, well, you know, Fellasan's dead. But I'm not gonna lie, ever since Trick Week said they could find a way to bring back Fellasan if they really wanted to, I've had the tiniest bit of hope. I just really liked Fellasan in the Masked Empire, and I would love to see him in the game. But yeah, I don't actually think this is Fellasan, unfortunately. Whoever this is though, they're not in the best state. They're entangled in some sort of blighted tree roots, or branches, and judging from the many corpses surrounding them, they are also not the first victim. The next shot shows us Rook, Nev, Harding, and Bellara. Since we're only able to bring 2 companions at a time, I think this might be during the quest where we recruit Bellara, before she officially joins our party. That would explain why there's 3 companions with Rook. That would also mean that this might be somewhere in the Arlathan Forest, as that is where we recruit Bellara. And if that's the case, maybe this person is another Veil Jumper? I've also seen people say it could be Strife, and yeah, the hairstyles kinda match. Although, again, it's kinda hard to see if they have Valisline or not. The next shot is a top view shot of a snowy area. Looks like somewhere in the mountains, maybe? We can see more of these weird blighted roots and gross fleshy blobs along the edge on the left. And on the other side, actually, I didn't notice that until just now, there's a dead dragon on the ground. At least I think it's dead. In the middle, we can see Ghilan'nain, impaled, but not dead. I also can't help but point out the similarities between Ghilan'nain and this piece of concept art, which was the design for archdemons before they decided to make them dragons. I also want to remind everyone that this piece of concept art exists. Don't know what this means exactly, but here you go. The group of people charging at her, I'm pretty sure those are Great Wardens. It's hard to see it, but it looks like they're wearing winged helmets, and their shields are a blue and gold color with the griffin symbol on it. I don't think this is the new Grey Warden logo we've seen in some of the concept art, but it's definitely the same blue and gold. And if that doesn't convince you, I'm pretty sure this is Evka. This is definitely the same hairstyle, and she's wielding a hammer. Also, Elgar'nan just appeared out of a portal. Great! Did Gil summon him, or is this just something he can do? And here's another dragon. So from here on out, we are going to keep track of how many unique dragons we see in this trailer, for reasons I will explain later. I don't think this dragon is the same as the dead one we saw earlier, because that one didn't seem to have horns. So that means we have 2 dragons so far. And we've actually seen this dragon before, on the Dragon Age Veilguard cover art to be exact. Same horns, same head, same eyes, and the same color. But we will get back to this dragon later on.
Rook, you've got this. I've seen your work. You're clever, adaptable, and you don't know when to quit.
It's nice to hear more Varric dialogue, although I can't help but notice it's the only Varric dialogue we hear in this trailer. Surely, this is just Bioware making us think Varric is dead, but he actually isn't dead, right? Right? Next, we get a closer look at a dragon we saw a few seconds earlier. And it's the same dragon, so we're not counting it. And here is Rook with, again, Harding, Nev, and Bellara. And it looks like they're still in the Arlathan Forest, so this scene probably happens during Bellara's recruitment quest as well. Also, what the hell happened to Harding's face? She looks like she got hurt pretty badly, and now I wonder if this is the result of taking Harding with us to destroy the scaffolding when we disrupt Solas' ritual. Oh, and you know, in my gameplay reveal breakdown, I went on this whole tangent about raindrops on Rook's and Solas' face and how they might actually be crying and stuff, etc, etc. Yeah, well, now I'm not so certain, because I don't think Rook is crying here. Yeah, I think that's just sweat. So, probably just a coincidence that... Yeah, you know what? Let's just move on.
You want allies to go after the gods? I've got places to look.
Where do we start?
Rook and Nev in camp clothes, which probably means they're at the lighthouse. It looks like they're outside, though, so Maybe the lighthouse has a small outside area we can chill in? What if we have a garden? So this very big and very fancy Eluvian, I'm guessing is Solas Eluvian that the Game Informer article talked about. So that means this is at the lighthouse. Makes me wonder if we'll have a room with just a bunch of Eluvians that we use to travel to places, or if it'll be just this big one that can take us wherever we want to go. And here it looks like they're back at the ritual site, which the devs did say we can return to places we visited before, so I'm curious to see what happens or what we can do when we go back here. Oh hey look, new Tappa Wolf statue. Nice.
I'll be damned. A griffin. In war, victory.
Now we get this beautiful shot of the Anderfels, presumably somewhere close to Weishaupt Fortress. I'm guessing these are watchtowers, and these massive pillars, which we also saw in the Thedas Calls trailer, were likely used for griffins back in the day. And here we have Davrin and our newest member of the Best Boy Club, Assan. My interpretation of the scene that we're seeing here is that when we go to recruit Davrin, we meet him while he's alone. And then we meet Assan a little bit later. Actually, what if Davrin and Assan got separated, and our first quest when meeting Davrin is helping him find Assan? Then he can be like, I'm looking for my friend, Assan, help me find him. And then we can be like, sure, we'll help you look for your friend. And then when we find him, a Rook hits us with the
I'll be damned. A griffin.
The scene from the trailer plays, Davrin and Assan greet each other, and that's when Rook realizes Davrin's friend is a griffin. Okay, yeah, this is now my official prediction for Davrin's recruitment quest. Write that down so we can laugh at how wrong I was later. And can we just take a moment to admire how pretty Assan's markings look? I think it's so cool that he has stripes. Speaking of Assan's appearance, something just occurred to me, and I can't believe I only realized this now. In the last flight, it is said that the eyes of a griffin are bright gold. Assan's eyes are blue. While this could be a simple change in design or upgraded color palette, I think there could be a great in-lore explanation for it. Cats are typically born with blue eyes, and will gain their adult eye color over time as they grow. For some cats, this is not the case, and they will have a blue eye color their whole lives. It might be the same for griffins. It's possible Assan has blue eyes because he is still young, and just hasn't developed his adult eye color yet. Or he is one of those special griffins that just has blue eyes. Or maybe there's some other explanation. Either way, it's a neat little detail. Cue the next shot, and we see Davrin making short work of one of those new types of Darkspawn. John Epler confirmed on the BioWare Discord that there is a lore reason they look like that, and it's more than just a visual redesign. Of course, he didn't go into it further for spoiler reasons, but I think it's related to Red Lyrium and the Blight spread by Ghilan'nain. After Davrin kills the Darkspawn, we can see that there's a younger girl behind him, who I think is also an elf, so perhaps it's a family member? Or his sister? Seeing as she is unarmed and running away from Darkspawn, and she's like in between Davrin and Rook, we're probably going to have to rescue her at some point. Oh god, will this be an escort mission? Next we see Assan taking down, yeah, I have no idea what that is. My first thought was a Darkspawn emissary, but it drops a sword, so I guess not? It could still be a Darkspawn, though this one doesn't have the glowing red eyes like the other ones do. I guess it could be some sort of corrupted or mutated type of undead. Also, that's a lot of cages in the background. Where are they? Weishaupt? Is that a person in there? Or a Darkspawn? That's too small and too dark to see. Hey, so Elven ruins underwater. This reminds me of the Devinter Night story Genevieve Dies in the End, where we learn of an elven library that ended up in the deep roads when Arlathan fell, which likely just means the damage that was caused by the veil going up. Roads crumbling and parts of buildings just disappearing, as we learn from the memories in the Shattered Library in Trespasser.
Welcome, and listen to the last words of those who walked this place. If we get out of here, I will end Fen'Haral. After he held back the sky to imprison the gods, the Dreadwolf disappeared. Lies. We must tear down the veil, the cities, the pathways. Without magic, they're crumbling. You're wasting your time. Fen'Haral's veil has turned our empire to ruins.
Perhaps this is a piece of one of those buildings that got ripped apart when the veil went up, and it ended up in the water. I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of underwater levels, but I'm not gonna lie, this would be pretty cool to explore.
I'm ready.
I've never seen this before. There's something kind of exciting about it. What is happening to me?
Let the Fae draw close!
Draw the dragon out into the open. Then attack.
You and me, Rook. Maybe that's what scares me.
Now we get this very cool shot of Lucanus kicking some Venatori butt, and we actually get to see his wings up close and hear his voice. But look at those wings though! Oh my god. The glowing part of the wings aren't just random bits, but it's actually like an entire magic ethereal fade bone structure. That's so freaking awesome. Also, for those of you that were worried this game wouldn't have enough blood or gore, yeah, I don't think you have to worry too much about that. Next shot, we see this pretty peculiar elven structure that has these spinning rings around it. Okay, so originally I had written up a whole theory about how this building might play a part in Solas' plan to take down the veil, as the magic from the core of the floating rings might be what's keeping the veil from coming down. But then I reread the Game Informer cover story, and yeah, it's not quite what I was speculating, but apparently I wasn't too far off either. So from the cover story, we learned that during Ballara's recruitment quest, we end up stuck in a veil bubble, and the artifact we need to destroy the bubble is inside this building. To quote the article, we finally reach the center of the temple. Within is a particular artifact known as the Nadas Dirthalan, which Ballara says means the inevitability of knowledge. Before we can advance with it, a Darkspawn ogre boss attacks. After taking down this boss in a climactic arena fight, Ballara uses a special crystal to power the artifact and remove it from a pedestal, destroying the veil bubble. Then, the Nadas Dirthalan comes alive as an archive spirit. But because the crystal used to power it breaks, we learn little about the spirit before it disappears. So what we see here must be Ballara powering the artifact so she can remove it. I guess this also confirms that this isn't the Crucius Stone, as I speculated in another video a while back. The next building we see looks pretty dwarven and seems to be the entrance to a Lyrium mine. Afterwards, we jump to a shot with Harding where we can see her unexpected magical powers in action. At first glance, her powers look very similar to what Solas can do, turn people into stone. But taking a closer look, you can actually see glowing Lyrium veins along her arm and face. Plus, we see Harding use her powers again later in the trailer, and that time she actually moves rock like an earthbender. So, at this point, I think it's safe to say that her magical powers are Titan-related, like Volta's magic. And this also means that the glowing arrows Harding uses in the intro quest is likely just a fancy effect, and probably not related to her magic. Oh well. I've been trying to see if the blast is what causes the wounds on Harding's face, but even slowed down, it's pretty much impossible to get a good look at her face before she attacks the Darkspawn, so I really have no idea at this point. And man, the way Harding looks and sounds so genuinely terrified here, I just want to give her a hug and tell her it's going to be okay. And then we get a good shot of Emmerich entering, I'm assuming, the Grand Necropolis, and holy mother of nugs, what is that? Okay, so you're telling me this thing used to be a living creature. What the hell kind of creature is so big? Like, not even giants are this massive. And you've got horns? What are you? I am so intrigued right now, but also very certain we're gonna have to fight this thing at some point, and I am not looking forward to it. After the Grand Necropolis, we get a shot of... I'm not sure, actually. It looks like there's snow, but also cacti? And more Blight. Yay. Here's our Kunari companion Tosh, about to hunt down the dragon we met earlier. Another shot of the docks in Minrathous, just from another angle, and a sneak peek of Nev's romance. Don't really have anything to add. The next clip though, boy do I have things to say about that.
These are the times in which legends are born or slain.
Yeah, so this is where I actually realized that Morrigan is going to be back, and I will neither confirm nor deny that I screamed when I saw this because I am totally normal about this, I swear. Yeah, no, I screamed. Holy shit, though. I know I've always felt Morrigan had to make an appearance, especially after everything that happened at the Well of Sorrows, but I was not expecting to see her in the trailer. Like, I was so freaking happy to see her. Ever since her voice actor Claudia Black mentioned on Twitter that she wasn't going to be in this game, I and a lot of others always had a bit of hope that she tweeted that before BioWare hired her back, so she didn't know she was going to be in it, and hey, turns out we were correct. So Morrigan's looking a bit different. She's got a new outfit and a bit of a different hairstyle. I'm not really a fan of her top, but the rest of her outfit's pretty cool and definitely suits Morrigan, I think. I was going to say I'm going to miss the iconic feathers on her shoulder, but she's actually still got them. They're just attached to her bracer now. And that headpiece she's wearing, that's Flemyth's. So Morrigan must have found Flemyth's body then. I wonder if this means she has actually accepted the role of being Mythal's next host. Did she find the piece of Mythal that Flemyth allegedly stored in the Eluvian before Solas killed her? If that's the case, I wonder what changed Morrigan's mind. As we know, a soul cannot be forced upon the unwilling, so if she is carrying Mythal now, she must have been willing. And what caused her to change her mind? Like, why would she be willing now? Obviously, a lot of time has passed, so who knows what has happened in the past 10 years. But I'm just curious, like, she was so against it in Inquisition. I feel like there has to be a really good reason for Morrigan to have changed her mind on this. I'm also curious to see if and how Kieran's existence affects what Morrigan is like in Veilguard. I've never actually played through a world state without old god baby Kieran, so I'm not sure what Morrigan is like when she doesn't have him, but I know that in Inquisition, Morrigan has gone through quite a bit of development when she has Kieran, and is doing her best to be a good mother for him. This becomes especially apparent in the confrontation with Flemyth in the Fade. I really hope that if you have a world state with Kieran, that development continues in Veilguard. I actually have a lot to say about Morrigan's growth as a character and her relationship with Flemyth, because I think it's a really interesting dynamic that I would love to explore, especially if she has Kieran. And I'm actually planning on making a video about that in the future. Just not sure if that'll be out before Veilguard, but I'm trying. But yeah, definitely keep an eye out for that if you're interested in that. Anyway, back to the trailer.
Our gods are back. Our gods. How do we stand against that?
I believe in all of us. So let's get it done.
So the two people fighting the Venatori here, I'm pretty sure are Viago and Thea from the comics and the Winter Night story 8 Little Talons. I think I also have an idea about who the woman is that Lucanus is fighting here. So, in the Wigmaker job, Lucanus defeats a crazy Venatori cultist called Ambrose Forfex. And I think this woman is Forfex's associate, Magister Zara Renata, who starts to observe Lucanus in order to find his weaknesses after he kills Forfex. Presumably to get revenge. Also, I think that's Thea on the ground here. Next we see Manfred, Emmeric's trusty skeleton friend, the very giant, very terrifying animated skeleton monster, and oh god, I don't even want to know what he's doing to these people. Hold on. Is there someone on his shoulder? Wait a minute. Is that Johanna? Okay, I am not sure, but both are wearing goggles, and that seems like an interesting coincidence. I think the voice we hear over this clip, I think that's Balara's, which if this is Balara, she says our gods, meaning the Evanuris, so that likely means Balara might be Dalish after all. And hey, I think this is the dead dragon from before, only it's clearly not dead anymore, and very corrupted by blue Lyrium? Okay, we'll talk more about this one in a bit. So here's more Grey Wardens, I think. And then we have Nev looking like she's about to mess this guy up. And seems like he's using blood magic, so fair enough. But what's interesting is that his gear is very similar to Nev's, so perhaps this is another member of the Shadow Dragons? Or someone from Nev's past? Next up is Rook, Davrin, and Lucanus at, I'm assuming, Weissap Fortress. Rook making a cool finishing attack, and then we get something really interesting. So, this is definitely Ghilan'nain, and this is definitely Solas's ritual dagger sticking out of her chest? Throat? Honestly, could be either with Gil's messed up anatomy. Seeing this scene here, and keeping in mind that we saw her literally impaled in the scene from before, made me wonder something. In Trespasser, Solas says,
"The first of my people do not die so easily."
So put on your tinfoil hats. I'm about to throw out a wild thought here. What if Gil body hops like Corypheus when she dies? Solas did say the blighted elven gods walk free. She could be using the blight to revive herself like Corypheus did. And there seem to be plenty blighted creatures around. I don't know if she is actually dead in this scene or in the process of reviving, but the way the dagger reacts actually reminds me of the massive explosion that happens when we kill the archdemon in Dragon Age Origins. So, does that mean the dagger plays a role in killing the elven gods? I still have so many questions. Next scene, we are back in the city of Minrathous, but this time it's covered in blight and the sky above is emanating a very ominous red glow. And actually, I've seen this before. This is depicted in Nev's tarot card. Huh, interesting. Why is this depicted in Nev's tarot card? Is it because she's from Minrathous? I mean, I guess that makes sense. Anyway, there's also a dragon here, and it's a new dragon, so that's another one for our dragon counter. And this is also where we get our first look at the actual frickin' Dreadwolf, and holy crap, he's attacking the dragon. So originally, I was going to talk about how this dragon reminds me of one of the other Evanuris heads. This one, to be exact. But thinking about it more, this is most likely Elgar'nan, as the dragon's head and especially the horns closely resemble the horns on Elgar'nan's back and headpiece. And I suppose it makes sense to get an epic battle between Elgar'nan, leader of the Pantheon, and Solas in Dreadwolf form. And hey, if this is Solas in Dreadwolf form, that means he managed to get out of the Fade. I hope that doesn't mean transforming into the Dreadwolf is the only way for him to get out. This scene looks so freaking cool though, and I imagine it takes place fairly late in the game. Like, this looks like it could be during one of the final boss battles, and it looks like it's one of these it is now or never moments where the stakes are super high and the fate of the world depends on this exact moment. Of course, the slow motion and red lighting makes this scene look especially dramatic. Man, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I'm just really hyped to see the actual Dreadwolf. I hope we'll be able to see the actual transformation in-game. The next few scenes show us another shot of Gil and Elgar'nan after the disrupted ritual. God, is he floating in midair? What else can this guy do? Another shot of the giant skeleton monster. Yeah, we're definitely fighting him. Another shot of the, probably Elgar'nan dragon emerging from water. Can he swim too? Hey, I wonder if this is the ruin we saw in the underwater shot earlier. Maybe only part of it is underwater? And here's a face we haven't seen before, at least not in any trailers. I think this is Irilyn from the Tevinter story 3 Trees to Midnight and the Missing comic. While her hairstyle is a little bit different in the comic, her hair color and Valenstein are the same, and looking at her armor, she is a veil jumper. The artifact she's filling with reminds me a lot of the elven structure with the rings that contain the artifact used to destroy the veil bubble. I mean, this basically looks the same, just smaller. Don't really know what that means, just wanted to point that out. Then we have a veil jumper battling a sentinel, and they actually look similar to the elf we saw entangled in the Blight tendrils earlier. if the previous clip was Irulan, this might be Strife then. Hey, I told you Harding's an earthbender. If you look closely, the wounds on her face haven't actually fully healed just yet, and she's got a cut on her forehead that we didn't see before. I wonder if this is related to the injured mechanic. If you haven't heard of this, the devs have said that it's possible for companions to get injured during quests, so maybe it's not just a status effect this time and we actually see them physically hurt if they're injured. Red Lyrium Ogre looking intimidating, but also a little goofy. Another sick finisher from Rook, and hey look, corrupted dragons! As if we didn't have enough problems already. So immediately my first thought when we saw these together was, okay, they're both undead and corrupted. One is red and the other one's blue. Red Lyrium and blue Lyrium? Why? And then it dawned on me. So both Elgar'nan and Ghilan'nain are blighted, right? Red Lyrium has the Blight, and Corypheus used Red Lyrium to control his dragon. Gil and El must be using the same method for these dragons then. Okay, but this dragon is red, so that makes sense. But the other dragon is blue, so how does that work? Okay, so another wild thought here. Put your tinfoil hats back on. So earlier I said both dragons are undead, but we aren't actually sure if the red dragon is actually undead. I'm fairly certain the blue one is, but the red one, I was actually convinced that the red dragon was the fire-breathing dragon we saw a couple times earlier in the trailer, because I thought they looked the same. That was until someone pointed out to me that there is a difference in the horns. The horns on the fire-breathing dragon point upward, while the red dragon's horns point downward. That prompted me to take another close look at the corrupted red dragon, and yeah, there's actually quite a few differences there, even apart from the horns. So, I guess that brings us to number 4 on our dragon counter. Back to my theory, though. We're not actually sure if this dragon had previously died. So, maybe the Evanuris took a living dragon and just fed it red lyrium. Now, the blue dragon, I'm almost certain that's the dead dragon we saw in the Snowy Mountain clip, with the Grey Wardens and Elgar'nan appearing through the portal. I screenshotted that clip, put that thing into Photoshop, and turned the brightness up to the point it hurt my eyes. While it's still a bit hard to see the exact outline, I don't think this dragon has horns. My point is, what if this dragon was dead, and Gil and El somehow used weird Titan magic or blue Lyrium to animate this dragon, putting it under their control? It is said that Lyrium is the blood of the Titans, so what they're doing could be some form of blood magic. We know that blue Lyrium sings like red Lyrium, it's just a different song. So maybe Gil and Elgar'nan are able to do this because they're somehow manipulating the song. In Trespasser we learned that the Evanuris mine the Titans for their blood, aka Lyrium. So Gil and El probably would know what to do with it and how to use it if they've used it before, although we don't actually know what the Evanuris mined it for. I know there's a lot of what ifs and maybes here, but I hope you're able to pick up what I'm trying to put down. I might be way off with some of these, but it's still fun to speculate. It's going to be fun to see how many of these theories turn out to be completely false. Let's also take a look at our dragon counter. So we've counted 4 dragons in total. The first one was the dead dragon in the snowy area, the second one is the fire-breathing one we see in a few scenes, the third one is the Elgar'nan dragon, and assuming the blue dragon is the dead dragon from before, the fourth one is the corrupted red dragon. So 4 is not really a whole lot, but the reason I wanted to keep track of the dragons is because there is a specific dragon that is not in this trailer, and I wanted to make sure I hadn't just missed it. So, do you all remember this dragon from the original reveal trailer? Yeah, I was kind of hoping to see this one again. Since I think the dragon fighting the Dreadwolf is or is linked to Elgar'nan, my guess is that this dragon with the horns curved downward is or is linked to Ghilan'nain. And yeah, it's mainly because of the horns, I don't really have much else to go on. Also, I still think this is in the Black City / Arlethan, and if the battle with the Elgar'nan dragon in Minrathous is one of the final boss battles, then this must be the final one, especially with the eclipse in the background. I don't know though, just a feeling. And the very last but not least thing in this trailer is of course the official release date. It's not the date that I guessed, not even close, but I am totally okay with that. October 31st is when we will finally be able to play Dragon Age Veilguard ourselves. On Halloween of all days. The day that the veil between our mortal realm and the spirit realm is thinnest. Very fitting for Veilguard, I think. Anyway, I think I'm going to start to wrap things up, because otherwise I'm just going to keep rambling. This was so much fun to do though. It's great going through the video pretty much frame by frame and seeing things you just don't notice when you're watching the video normally. So many little details are hidden in the background. I'm so excited though, the trailers have only gotten better and better, and the more they show, the more I just want to play this game. Can it be October 31st already? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, let me know by liking this video. Or leave a comment and let me know what part of Veilguard you're the most excited for. What do you think of the release date? Do you have your own theories and speculations based on what you saw in the trailer? Make sure to let me know because I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you want to support the channel, please consider subscribing as I put a lot of time and effort into my videos. Or check out my Patreon. If you want to have a chat sometime, feel free to join my Discord. The link is in the description. That's it for now though. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.